Bizarre historical medical practices. Imagine living in a time when medicine was more of a guessing game than a science. A time when doctors and healers tried all sorts of weird and wacky things to cure diseases and injuries. A time when the beliefs and superstition of the people shaped the way they treated their ailments. That was the Middle Ages, a period of history that spanned from the 5th to the 15th century in Europe. How would you feel if you lived in such a time? What kind of diseases would you be afraid of? What kind of treatments would you be willing to try? We are lucky to live in a time when we have modern medicine to help us get better or stay healthy, but it wasn't always like this. In the past, there were many deadly diseases and viruses that killed millions of people before they had antibiotics, antiretroviral drugs, and other amazing medical discoveries. And the treatments that people tried back then were often worse than the diseases themselves. They were gruesome, painful, and sometimes downright dangerous. In this video, we'll tell you about some of the most bizarre and risky historical medical practices that history has ever seen. You won't believe some of the things that people did to themselves or others. What types of illnesses or procedures were there these days? Why were they so horrifying, and what did they do? Stay tuned to find out. In the past, medicine was a mix of ancient knowledge, religious dogma, and new discoveries. Some of the ideas were based on the writings of Greek philosophers, like Hippocrates and Galen, who believed that the body was made of 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. They thought that these humors had to be balanced for a person to be healthy, and that diseases were caused by an imbalance or excess of one of them. To restore the balance, doctors would use methods like bloodletting, purging, vomiting, or applying leeches. But not all medicine was based on logic or observation. Some of it was driven by fear, ignorance, or greed. People in the Middle Ages were often afraid of demons, witches, and evil spirits that could cause harm or illness. Medieval doctors swore a hot poker could cure hemorrhoids. Have you ever had hemorrhoids? If you have, you know how painful and annoying they can be. But imagine living in a time when the only way to prevent or cure them was to pray to a saint or to sit on a hot iron or a cold rock. That was the case for many people in the Middle Ages, who believed that hemorrhoids were a punishment from God or a sign of evil. Hemorrhoids are swollen veins in the lower parts of the rectum or anus. They can cause bleeding, itching, inflammation, and discomfort. They can be caused by various factors, such as straining during bowel movements, pregnancy, obesity, aging, or chronic constipation or diarrhea. Today, we have many ways to treat them, such as creams, ointments, suppositories, surgery, or natural remedies. But in the past, people had to rely on the intercession of Saint Fiacre, the patron saint of hemorrhoids. He was an Irish monk who lived in the 7th century and founded a monastery in France. According to legend, he suffered from hemorrhoids himself and prayed to God for relief. He was told to dig up some herbs from his garden and make a salve out of them. He did so and applied it to his anus. He was instantly healed and never had hemorrhoids again. Saint Fiacre became famous for his miracle and his healing skills. He was also known for his love of gardening and his hospitality to travelers and pilgrims. He was canonized by the Catholic Church and became the patron saint of gardens, florists, cab drivers, and hemorrhoid sufferers. People who had hemorrhoids or wanted to avoid them would pray to him or visit his shrine in France. There, they would find his famous rock, a large stone that he used as a seat when he prayed or worked in his garden. It was said that anyone who sat on the rock would be cured of their hemorrhoids or protected from getting them. But not everyone had access to Saint Fiacre's rock or his prayers. Some people had to resort to more drastic measures, such as cauterization or surgery. Cauterization involved burning the hemorrhoids with a red-hot iron or a candle. This was supposed to stop the bleeding and shrink the veins, but it also caused excruciating pain and infection. The surgery involved cutting off the hemorrhoids with a knife or scissors. This was also very painful and risky, as it could lead to bleeding, infection, or death. Ancient dentists used dead mice to treat multiple ailments. Did you know that mice were once used as medicine? It sounds gross, but it's true. In ancient Egypt, people would grind up dead mice and mix them with other stuff to make a paste. Then they would put it on their teeth to make the pain go away. In Elizabethan England, people had another use for mice. They would cut a mouse in half and rub it on their warts. They thought this would make the warts disappear. They also used mouse bits to treat other diseases like whooping cough, smallpox, measles, and bedwetting. Doctors from throughout history used urine as an antiseptic. Have you ever thought of using your pee as medicine? It sounds crazy, but some people have done it for a long time. They thought that pee could heal all kinds of things, like wounds, sores, and even teeth. Romans used it to make their teeth shiny. King Henry VIII's doctor used it to clean battle injuries, and plague victims used it to soothe their boils. They believed that pee was clean and germ-free, but that's not true. Pee can have bacteria and other stuff in it that can make you sick. Medieval doctors used bloodletting to balance the humors. Medieval doctors believed that good health depended on the blood and 3 other fluids: yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. They called these the 4 humors. They thought that having too much or too little humor made you sick, and they had a simple solution: get rid of the extra fluid. They did this by bloodletting. They cut open the hurting body part and used leeches to take out the blood. They thought this would balance the humors and make you better, but they were wrong. It didn't work. It often made things worse. Losing too much blood could cause infections, anemia, or death, and it didn't address the real cause of diseases like germs or viruses. Leeches are not completely useless though. They can help with some medical procedures, like reattaching fingers or ears. They can improve blood flow and prevent clotting in the wounds. But they are not a miracle cure for everything. People throughout history used animal dung to cure numerous medical issues. For a long time, people thought that animal dung could heal their wounds and diseases. Even in the 1800s, some people would use dried dog poop to soothe their sore throats. And the ancient Egyptians would use poop from different animals like donkeys, crocodiles, dogs, gazelles, or flies for various medical reasons. Sometimes this would make them sick with tetanus, but other times the dung would actually help them heal because of the bacteria in it. Today, some people still believe that animal dung can cure them. For example, a woman claimed that drinking tea made from animal poop cured her cancer, but there is no scientific proof for that. Doctors in the 1950s used malaria infections to cure syphilis. In the 1950s, some doctors had a crazy idea. They thought that they could cure syphilis by giving people malaria. They believed that the high fever caused by malaria would kill the syphilis bacteria and that they could then treat malaria with other drugs. But this was a risky and harmful method. Although malaria did help some people get rid of syphilis, it also made them suffer severe fever attacks for weeks and long-term side effects for years. So there you have it, some of the most bizarre medical practices in history. From mice to pee, from bloodletting to cauterization, these methods were used by people who didn't know any better or who were desperate for a cure. But thanks to science and technology, we have much more effective and humane ways to treat our diseases and injuries today. But who knows, maybe some of our current practices will seem bizarre and shocking to future generations. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.